6 months ago, at age 46, I decided to try skateboarding again after 30 years. Every once in a while, I'd tune into what was going on in the world of skateboarding. I knew about Andy Anderson and the current Pal Peralta team by watching videos on YouTube. I started watching these guys, and not only were they doing a mix of old school and new school tricks, but they were using shaped boards and deck rails. They were making skateboarding look really fun. And then I discovered some older guys like me were also on YouTube picking up skating just for fun. This was so inspiring to me that not only did I start skating again, but I started my own YouTube channel to document my experience. I bought a new board, one that I'd already had my eye on for a couple of years, and just like that, I was hooked on skating again, just like when I was a kid. But it had been over 30 years since I was skating as a kid, and except for a brief stint in my early 30s, I hadn't really been skating in over 30 years. Street skating was what I knew from way back when, so I started out trying some flat ground tricks, but aside from a basic ollie, I had lost most of my old tricks. Not that I had that many to begin with. One of the things that I was most excited about was learning to skate at actual skate parks. I quickly learned though that not all skate parks are created equal. Some are more useful than others, especially to a beginner. But I gravitated to this mini bowl, which I nicknamed Baby Bowl. Baby Bowl got me used to skating small transition. It's where I started to learn how to pump and carve. It's where I did my first real drop-in, my first slash grind, and I just love that bowl because it's small and fun. Great dimensions at 3 feet, 4 feet with a 5-foot extension, but even in the 3-foot section, I feel like Tony Hawk on a vert ramp. When I was a kid skating, I didn't have access to this kind of stuff. There were no public skate parks. If I wanted to skate a mini ramp, I'd have to get a ride, pay a fee, sign a waiver, and try to squeeze in some ramp time where I could. But in the 30 years since I've been away from skating, skate parks have popped up all over. Even if some of them have existed for like 20 years already, they're all new and exciting to me. So why was I so inspired to get back into skating? Well, I'm here for the fun, the exercise, it is great cardio, and to get better at something, to work on something over and over, get frustrated, fail, but keep at it, and slowly get better at it over time. Skateboarding is hard, but there's something really satisfying about keeping at it, working at it.
Yes!
I also find that skating works well as a type of meditation. When I'm carving around a bowl, I am absolutely zeroed in, focused on my skateboarding. There is no room to think about anything else in the world. So it really focuses my thoughts on what I'm presently doing in the moment, right here, right now, because if my thoughts drift, I might fall. I have to be present and focused on exactly what I'm doing at this exact moment. And as I started skating again, I realized that it's true what they say. Skating is the fountain of youth. When I'm out there skating, I feel at least 20 years younger than I am. And because I just enjoy the activity so much and the challenge of it, I'm just really into it. I can stay out there and skate for hours. I find this almost bottomless well of energy somehow that I'm just not able to tap into doing other activities. And it's been interesting as I return to skateboarding. There's a lot of things I learned about, discovered. I've realized that there are a handful of essential skills, especially when it comes to transition skating, that really go a long way. If you can learn these few things, you can take advantage of a skate park. You can take advantage of transitions of all shapes and sizes. And these include things like pumping, carving, dropping in, and slash grinds. These 4 things alone allow you to really get a lot of enjoyment out of any bowl, ramp, or other transition-oriented obstacles that you might find at a skate park. And then there are those mini ramp tricks that I always wished I'd learned back in the day. Well, I'm getting a chance to learn them now. Things like axle stalls, 50-50 grinds, tail stalls, rock to fakie. These tricks are all coming along for me. Even if I'm doing some of them on really tiny transition, I'm going to work my way up. When I first learned how to do slash grinds, backside slash grinds, it blew my mind. It was like, finally, I'm doing something real in transition, not just pumping around. And now I'm taking things even further with roll-ins over coping and flyouts. As I learn more, it just gets more and more exciting, more and more fun. But what about street skating? Well, I still have my sights set on some street skills. I need to improve my ollie. I'd like to be able to ollie up and down a ledge, ollie into a 50-50 grind, nose slides, maybe even land a kickflip one of these days. But I haven't been as motivated to work on my street skating as I have on my transition skating. I bought a street setup dedicated to street skating, hoping that would help motivate me to work more on my street skating, but I still haven't done much of it compared to transition skating. One of the reasons is that transition skating tends to be low impact compared to street skating. Transition skating is a lot less impactful on my mid-40s body than street skating is, with all the jumping and landing that street skating involves, where transition skating is a lot of going up and down smooth transitions, not a lot of hard impact. And I'm also protecting my body by wearing pads and a helmet. I really don't care if it looks dorky. I don't care what anyone else thinks out there. Wearing pads, wearing a helmet is kind of a no-brainer for me. At least at this point in my skating, I'm not confident in my skating, but I'm even less confident in my falling. The few times that I have taken a bad slam, it was a mess. Like, no control, arms flailing. You know, I see skaters that are good at falling and they know how to roll with it. They don't get too hurt. I'm not that way. When I fall, it's a hard slam. So I've got all my pads. I've got these wrist guards, I've got the elbow pads, the knee pads, the helmet, and sometimes I even wear hip pads under my shorts, under my pants, but it does feel like I'm wearing a giant diaper, and so I don't wear it all the time, especially in the summer. Another thing I do to protect my body is just try to skate within my ability level. I mean, I want to progress and push the limits each time I go out and have a session, but I'm not interested in getting hurt. At least not seriously hurt. And so I really want my progress to just be slow and steady and incremental and not push it, not try to do things that I don't think I'm ready for. Another thing I've learned as I've come back to skating is that there are lots of older skaters like me out there. Not just on YouTube, but in real life out at the skate parks. I've run into way more skaters than I thought that are in their 40s or 50s, and either they've never stopped skating and they're still ripping, or they're like me and they've come back to it later in life. But there are just way more of them than I thought. It seems like there's more older skaters sometimes than kids skating, because the kids all seem to be on scooters. So yeah, that's another thing I learned about since I've come back to skateboarding, is this phenomenon of scooter kids. So when it comes to skating again, I'm kind of a Johnny-come-lately. This has been available for many years. In fact, the whole time I've been off a skateboard, other people have been on skateboards. I'm late to the party, but I'm here now, and when I'm out there skating, I'm telling you, I really do feel at least 20 years younger than I am. Then there's this YouTube channel. Starting a YouTube channel to document this experience has also been really rewarding, because I picked up 2 new hobbies in one. I have the joy of skateboarding, then I come home and watch the footage of myself skating as I edit the videos, and that's reliving that joy all over again. And then there's the fun of editing and turning my silly skate sessions into an exciting story that you might actually want to watch. Then there's interacting with all of you in the comments and commenting on other similar channels as well. Because it turns out there's a bunch of us out there who got back into skating at an older age. And every single one of us also has a YouTube channel. And it makes sense. Those of us who were around for the 80s heyday of skating are now squarely in middle age. Call it a midlife crisis if you want, but I think it's cool that we get one more chance to figure out this whole skateboarding thing and actually learn how to do it and enjoy it before it's too late. It's hard to believe the amount of progress that can be made in the first 6 months of skating, even at 46 and 47 years old. As long as you get out there as often as you can, the progress will happen. It will feel slow, especially at first. Not every session will yield epic breakthroughs, but give it a few months. And when you look back at where you started, you won't even recognize the skater in the mirror anymore. If you're out there watching this and wondering if you should get back into skateboarding or start skateboarding at an older age, don't hesitate to try it. Not to be too dramatic here, but it can be life-changing. And for me, this is just the beginning. I figure if I can avoid serious injury, I've got at least another 20 years of skating to look forward to ahead. Skateboarding is the fountain of youth, and I'm so glad I found it again. Skating is one of those things that just stays with you for life. I just love it. And as a hobby for middle age and beyond, hey, it's way cheaper than golf. So that's my return to skating at age 46, now 47, and my thoughts after 6 months back on the board. I know you've got a skateboarding story as well, whether you've returned to it later in life like me or you've been skating all along. Let me know your story below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.